Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Enrich Your Business Circle. I'm your host, Rodrika Bennett, and I am super excited for our guest that we have on today. Today, I want to welcome Hannah Dalby. She is a human integration facilitator, the CEO of Recovery Jungle, and former professional Muay Thai fighter based on the Sunshine Coast of Australia. Hannah, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Hannah, part of the show, we kick it off with basically having our guests to introduce themselves and really talk about their aha moment and what unique approaches that they have to their niche.
Sure. Okay. Well, um, let me tell you a little bit about the aha moment, I guess. This business actually started as just a recovery center. As I was a professional fighter, all
Mhm.
I wanted was my own cryotherapy machine so I could fight more, run more, exercise more, and still feel really good. And over the years, like I ended up giving up fighting because I had this like choice point. Do I fight? Do I run this business? I've put all this money into this business. Am I just
Mhm.
going to punch people in the face for a living, or am I going to go all in on this? uh, so I made the choice. And when I gave up fighting, I realized that fighting had been another way for me to avoid everything underneath,
Okay.
avoid emotions, avoid relationship problems, avoid stuff I'd never ever dealt with. And I had huge health issues going on that were kind of hidden by I'm just doing sauna and cryo and I can just run and pretend nothing's there. And so when I gave it up, it was really obvious that I had all of this stuff going on because I couldn't
Mhm.
avoid it anymore. I was very still going, oh, there's some stuff here. So probably about 12 months after that, I realized that the business was actually a part of the problem that I wanted to solve and had been living my life as, which is, we do all this stuff to avoid what's happening underneath the surface, to
Right.
avoid the patterns, to avoid the emotions, to avoid, you know, the potential things going wrong in our relationships that we're not looking at. And I nearly shut the business down because I thought, well, hang on, like I can't
Wow.
just like promote this, just do cold therapy and sauna and yoga and you'll just feel good all of the time when it's just another band-aid to actual alignment, to actual integrity, to actual feeling really good within yourself.
Mhm.
And I sat with it for a little while and thought, well, hang on a minute, you're trained in all of this stuff, why don't you just bring it all into the business?
Right.
And the entire business shifted from just this recovery center. And most of the work we do now is human integration facilitation, which is the deepest somatic emotional processing I've ever experienced in my life. The modality was created by myself and a friend of mine. Um, and we support it with these cool biohacking tools. We support it with training. We support it with the
Mhm.
right food. But the most important part of it is that we're facing ourselves and all of this stuff underneath.
Awesome. So could you explain more of what the human integration means in your work?
Yeah. So think of it like this. You may have, you go through your day and you're trying to get something done in your business. And
Mhm.
there's like a part of you that really wants to do it and a part of you that doesn't want to do it. Part of you that
Right.
maybe wants to rebel or wants to rest or is kind of annoyed that they have to do anything in the first place. And we think of this as like a split, a fragmented part of yourself that may have happened really, really early on in your life when one parent potentially told you you have to succeed and the only way you get love is to succeed and to get this stuff done, and what you really wanted was to be loved for just who you are. So you have
Mhm.
this tension that goes on, and that can be exhausting. So you're pushing against tension all of the time. And this happens in so many different aspects of our life. And at the same time, we have unmet needs, unspoken words, all of this emotional charge that's sitting in our system, which blocks us from accessing the truth of what we really desire, what we
Right.
really want. And so we're integrating all of these parts back into alignment while clearing up all of the emotional charge that's been stuck in our system for a really long time. And so we get all parts of ourselves in alignment and in conscious. So we can still do the same things, but it's from all of us in alignment and having a conscious thought about it,
Mhm.
rather than it trying to get our needs met in these weird shadowy ways, which leaks out into our relationships, leaks out into how we make business decisions, leaks out into how we treat our staff, leaks out into all of these different ways in our life, which maybe we love, maybe we don't love. It's not necessarily about completely changing what we do. It's changing the energy in which it's coming from, so it doesn't drain us. And so we don't have these strange, leaky, reactive behaviors coming out in our lives.
Awesome. So I want to kind of I love the fact that you said that. I want to kind of shift and to towards the subject of from collapse to capacity, because you went to a crossword road in your life where you had to make a choice. So what was like the difference between strategy of your fighting versus your personal capacity in business growth when you had to make that choice?
Yeah. So, I mean, I had run a company for 10 years prior to this one that I had now. I was
Okay.
professional fighting. I had a marketing company. I'd like go, 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 go. And that was driven by I must be perfect. I must be the winner. I must succeed at all costs. I must avoid everything that's happening around me. So, what can I possibly do to never stop? And it's like a
Mhm.
perfect facade, right? It looks really good. Oh, yes, but I'm driving really hard to run this company. I must stop. And I've got a fight in 6 weeks. So I must run 20 kilometers and I must train for 4 hours. And no, you can't have lunch with me. No, you can't come over. No, I don't have time for you. No, like, there's nothing else other than me doing endless amount of stuff. So it was driven from shadow. It was driven from shadowed needs of approval, of how do I be loved? How do I belong? And an avoidance of what was actually happening underneath. So
Mhm.
I would keep crashing. I would like push so hard, I would crash. And then I would push so hard and I would crash. And when I finally stopped, my whole body, I put on 30 kilos, like 60 pounds in a few months. I had no reproductive system running. I like kind of looked around and went, I don't have any deep relationships in my life at all because I've been unable to access my own emotions. I've been unable to access connection with myself, let alone anyone else. So that collapse was like, hey, well, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to run like this. I actually do want relationships in my life that have deep, meaningful purpose. And if I'm going to run a business, I want it to be because it's like purposeful and it means something to me, not because I'm just doing 30 hours a day, which don't even exist, just to avoid stuff. And I knew somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew it was possible to have all of the things, to
Mhm.
be able to be fit and healthy and have good relationships and run a business and have everything. I knew that that was possible. And I was doing that from a place of force before. And when I went in and started looking at all of this stuff underneath and clearing up all of the old patterns and all of the old reasons for doing things and bringing together the fragmented parts of myself, now I'm doing it from a place of conscious choice. Well, I'm running this business because I believe a change needs to happen in the world. I'm running this business because I love the feeling of helping people get from really, really, really stuck to having everything they want. There's all of these and so, being on podcasts, actually, that is, I love to be seen. I love to be in the spotlight. It was one of the reasons why I fought. I love the stage. So how can I consciously put that into my life and know that I'm doing it for that reason, rather
Mhm.
than over talking, like talking over other people, or making sure my team don't get any of the spotlight, or doing strange little behaviors to make sure it's all on me. Just know that that's a need of mine and go get it met.
Right.
And as I've done this, and it's all of the things, right? Like food, getting the food and the exercise and the connection with my partner, right? And all of these things first and foremost, because that creates the capacity within me to deliver well in the business, to show up well in the business. And I'm probably doing 5 times more stuff than I've ever done in my life, but I'm not exhausted.
Awesome. So what it seems like is that you are definitely a high performer and you connect more with high performers. How do you work with other high performers, and are there any challenges that they typically face when you first start working with them?
Yeah. So the reason I love working with high performers actually is because they know that there is work to be done to get somewhere.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that concept is in their mind. If you want to be a high performing athlete, there is work to be done. You want to run a business, there is work to be done. And it's just realizing that that work needs to be done internally on yourself. And once that lands and once it becomes safe to get in the body, then everything starts to become okay. The
Okay.
challenge seems to be initially, well, I don't have time because I've got all this stuff going on and I don't want to pull myself apart because then I'll stop achieving things. And the opposite is actually true. So once we get past that barrier, it's like, can we actually get you into your body? Because you live in your mind all day and we do so much mind. High performers love mindset work. I just got to be grateful. I've just got to imagine it. I've just got to manifest it. I've got to brain, mindset, missing what's actually happening underneath in the body. And once we make it safe to sit in the sensations of the body, the work actually doesn't become too challenging. It's not necessarily easy to face all of this stuff, but just being able to actually be inside of the body and notice that maybe you've been the problem. You've been in the way.
And often we are in the way of our own success or growth.
Yeah.
I've been there, which kind of makes me shift towards the next question that I have for you
Yeah.
is really around like the intersection of body, business, and leadership. So I know that it sounds like you don't separate body from business or money from like different systems that you have physically, mentally, emotionally, or anything like that. So how does that work, or why do you take that approach?
So let me give you this example.
Mhm.
One of the hardest things that I work with on people is opening up to receive.
Okay.
And this is a universal, men and women. It's a really big thing in women. We've overfunctioned in our lives massively, and
Mhm.
we become business owners as women often so we can overfunction some more and do all of this work. And so actually being able to surrender and receive is
Mhm.
actually difficult for the body, because it's this receiving money, receiving love, receiving support is all the same thing if you're receiving it into your heart, if you're receiving it into your body, not just allowing it to happen.
Mhm.
So the first 3 months I did of this particular process that we're doing now, the entire purpose was, can I open up to receive more money in the business? And what I got was a new partner that provided in so many beautiful ways and loved me in all of these beautiful ways, something I'd never experienced in my life. And so as I open up to receive more from him, I open up to receive more money. As I open up to receive more money in the business and can actually let it land in my heart and hold it. Can you hold the money? What does it feel like to actually hold that? Some people will get it and then spend it really quickly and then call that a business strategy, when it's actually your system doesn't know how to hold on to that. It feels unsafe to hold it because of whatever stories are running in the system. And then you have things like, okay, well, yeah, part of growing my business is being seen. I've got to get on a podcast. I've got to make a video. I've got to, put stuff out on social media. And there can be stuff sitting in the system that makes you go, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to do that. And even if you're doing the job and you're putting the video out, if there's a part of you that really, really doesn't want to be seen because it's scary, because you might be judged, because you've been hurt before for it, because of whatever reasons have happened in your history or that's sitting inside of your system, it doesn't land. It doesn't really end up out there. There's something that gets broken inside of that. And then it goes into leadership and teams. So if you've got like undone stuff, mother wounding, father wounding, sitting in your system, and then you
Mhm.
start projecting that onto your team as though that they're your mother that didn't do her job properly, or it happens both ways. And now you've got transference and counter transference happening at an energetic level inside of your team, inside of your clients. Now you're all playing out these drama triangles everywhere, rather than actually being able to hear what someone's need is, or being able to express from a grounded place of truth rather than from a reactivity because they've now behaving like someone in your past that
Mhm.
has done you wrong.
Awesome. I definitely love that because it seems like you get them to tackle more so into their subconscious mindset and to break a lot of subconscious barriers that people really didn't realize that they actually had
Yeah.
so that they can be successful. Um,
Yeah.
so my last question that I think I would ask is, what is some practical advice that you would tell people who really want to start integrating some of the concepts that you mentioned into their own lives and own business, like letting go of certain stuff or being more open to some certain stuff? What tips would you tell them to do to get started?
So I think it's this. I think if there is some kind of feeling or some kind of reaction that happens over and over again,
Mhm.
that's not about the thing in front of you. That's not about the person in front of you. That's about something that's sitting in your system. So if you notice the same problem happening over and over again, if you notice the same issue happening over and over again, if you notice the same pattern or argument happening in your team, in your relationship over and over again, check in what's happening for you. When have you felt this before? What does that feeling actually feel like? What are you actually needing here? What are you actually missing here? And coming back to sitting with what that actually feels like rather than going straight into reactivity, and start getting curious about what's happening underneath of it for you rather than what's happening externally. Because if it's a repeating pattern, it's obvious, it's more often than not something to do with you than to do with the external world.
Mhm. I love that. So Hannah, could you share with the listeners more about you? How can they find you, your facility and things of that nature?
Yeah. So we have a clinic in the Sunshine Coast in Australia if you ever feel like getting on a plane, but most of our work does run online. And you can find us at thejungle.net.au, or if you want to go straight into watching a video and having a call with me, integratedaf.com is the best place to start.
Awesome. And you also have a podcast.
I do. I do. It's Into the Jungle podcast. It's on Spotify and YouTube and all the places.
Awesome. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you were able to get some great tips from Hannah on today, especially where you can reflect on yourselves and see what you're holding on to subconsciously. And make sure you like, share, and follow this podcast. Until next time, stay enriched.
Thank you.